songs, let me tell you about a friend. It's Craig LeBlanc, where the good times never end. Talking Parks and Rec, it's a show you gotta know. Welcome one and all to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. It's the Daily Parks and Rec Show.
You have to have this really high understanding of people and their emotions. You have to have a certain level of patience. You have to understand that no matter what, it's not personal. And I learned that early on. A smile goes a long way.
Yeah.
An understanding of what people are going through and that whole idea of walking a mile in someone else's shoes is really what is important to us when we're trying to build community with the people that we see every day.
All right. This is Craig LeBlanc, your host of the Leadership Series, part of DPRS Media Network. We are a media company exclusively for the Parks and Rec industry of America. And we have a ton of great shows lined up this week. This is the first one of our Monday. Let me run through the lineup. Immediately following this show, we have our Smart Parks Forward, which is the second and fourth Monday of every month, with our very talented host, Dave Ramirez. That show is sponsored by Outdoor Link, another great company that supports what we're doing. Then that brings us to Tuesday. After my show, we have John Prue, which does if you've ever heard of Parks and Rec on military bases, we have a weekly show all about that. It's called On the Front Line. 1:30 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday. Been doing that since the first Tuesday of January this year. So we're getting things rolling there. And that brings us to Wednesday. We don't have anything scheduled this coming Wednesday, but on the first and second Wednesday of the month, we have two shows that we produced. One is, and this is both with Henry County, Georgia. Thomas White, very talented Parks and Rec professional, talks about neurodivergence, emotional intelligence. We also talk about how Parks and Rec helps with the mental health of their community. So that's a great show. Thanks so much, Thomas, for helping to get that going. And then we work with Henry County, Georgia on the second Wednesday of every month to pick a topic inside of Parks and Rec. And then everybody that focuses on that topic for Henry County, Georgia just pulls the curtain back and gets into all the details. So that's a rec room. We've been doing that for, that's got to be over a year. We've been doing that show. And then our oldest running show, the Youth Sports Mastery Show with host Aaron Locke, sponsored by the National Academy of Athletics. Aaron has been in youth sports and rec sports specifically for 40 years, and he brings on some of the greatest athletic directors, former pro athletes, officials, coaches. Really great show there. And that, I think that show has been running every Thursday at 1:30 p.m. for over a year. So really excited about that one. Then we have a 5 p.m. Eastern time show, all for the young professionals. So if you're a young professional, if you know a young professional, this is your show. 52 times a year, we're talking about what it means to drink from the fire hose of Parks and Rec for your first 1 to 5 years. I know it can be overwhelming, but hang in there. There's plenty of people that have made it through there. And then that brings us to our Friday show. Actually, so now we've extended the Leadership Series, which is this show, all the way to Friday. So we're going to start a Friday show in Leadership Series with a host out of California, Jonathan Skinner. Starting, I think, in a couple of weeks, we might actually do one this Friday. We're trying to see if we can get our schedules to go together. But then at some point, it's going to be a permanent fixture of having a Monday through Friday show all on leaders of Parks and Recreation. And then the final show of the week is our latest show, the Aquatics Life, with a very talented host, the legendary Wesley King, who has been pretty much all things aquatics. If you haven't watched that show on Friday and you have somebody or a friend or a colleague that's in aquatics, I promise you, just pick a show and you're going to get something out of it. They are dropping a ton of wisdom on there. And we're now starting to get guests on it. So that's kind of our lineup. Today, we have a special guest from Emeryville, California, Rebecca, who is also a fellow podcaster, and they produce something called Wreck Yourself. And we're going to get to hear all about that and her journey into Parks and Rec. But before we get started, we want to continue to play our 500th episode promo or actually it's not a promo, it's more of a thank you to everybody that's been on the show and helped us to get this far. Really appreciate all the love and support we're getting from the Parks and Rec community. Obviously it's something that's been needed, is to create a media company for this industry, highlighting all the great parts of it. So big shout out to everybody that's helped us so far. So Jovi, why don't you go ahead and play those two, and when we come back, we'll start our conversation with Rebecca.
It didn't start with a big studio. It didn't start with a massive audience. It started with a simple idea. One conversation, one camera, one episode. Back then, DPRS Media Network was just a vision. No guarantees, no roadmap, just a purpose. To tell stories that mattered. Stories from the Parks and Recreation community. Stories of leadership, passion, impact, and the people making a difference every single day. Episode by episode, that vision began to grow. More conversations, more voices, more people who believed in what we were building. What started as a show became something much bigger. A place where people felt seen, a place where ideas were shared, a place where the Parks and Rec community could connect, learn, and inspire one another. And today, we celebrate a major milestone. 500 episodes, 500 stories, 500 moments, 500 reasons to keep moving forward. But this is not the finish line. This is the beginning of our next chapter. In the months ahead and in the years to come, DPRS Media Network is growing into something even greater. We are building something truly special for the Parks and Recreation community. Something designed to bring people closer, to create stronger connections, to open new opportunities, and to continue serving the people who inspire everything we do. We are also expanding our reach through new partnerships, working with organizations who believe in our mission, partners who share our vision for community, leadership, and impact. And beyond the screen, we're showing up in more places than ever before, attending conferences, meeting leaders face-to-face, building connections that strengthen our community. Because DPRS has never been just about content. It has always been about connection. To everyone who has been with us, from episode 1 to episode 500, thank you. This milestone belongs to all of you. Here's to how it all started. And here's to everything still to come. The future of DPRS Media Network starts now.
All right, Rebecca, how's your weekend treat you?
It treated me really nice. It was a little too cold for us in California. I think we're ready for the summer in the sun.
Oh man, what'd your temperature get down to?
It was in the 60s. It was
Ooh.
kind of like a, cuddle up on the couch kind of weekend.
Yes, that's good weather.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go into your kind of backstory. How did you get into Parks and Rec? Were you involved early on as a child, or did you kind of discover this later in life?
I actually was in utero. My mom was a Parks and Rec professional. She worked for 35 plus years for the Hayward Area Recreation and Park District. And she worked at a pool. She ran an indoor pool year round and 4 outdoor pools in the summertime at different locations. Wow. And I think it's about a week. I was about a week old. I was like a week old, and I came to work with my mom.
Nice.
So, yeah, I was very lucky in that sense.
That's got to be the record, at least that I've heard of.
Yeah.
Before you were born, you were in Parks and Rec.
Yep. I grew up on the pool deck of the Hayward Plunge, which, we have pictures of me. I think I'm like a year old in the newspaper. My mom is literally throwing me in the air, like the old school drown proofing classes, throwing me in the air, midair. And then I'm on my back, floating on my back. And I'm like a year old.
Oh my goodness.
So
So you were legitimately born into this industry.
literally, which brings so much opportunity. It wasn't just pools. I got to do parks and summer camps and so much more than that because of her.
And so when did you know that you wanted to, make this a career path?
Yeah, I think I knew pretty early on. I would say in high school, you become a lifeguard, you become a swim instructor. And, I was the oldest of 3. And so I kind of knew right away that is exactly what I wanted to do. Watching my mom, help her staff along, help support her team, the community that she was able to create at the pool, the programs, the joy that people would stop us. We would be grocery shopping and people would stop her and say, thank you for my child didn't know how to swim and you helped them learn how to swim, or you really made my day, kind of thing. And so it was really from early on. I knew.
Now, maybe speak a little bit about aquatics. I am actually learning so much about aquatics since I started the Aquatics show, and I'm kind of like on that show. I'm like the village idiot that knows nothing about aquatics, and I ask all the dumb questions so that the real pros can color in the details and stuff. But how would you explain what aquatics is to someone that really doesn't have any exposure to it?
I like to describe aquatics as it's the only thing you can do from the moment you're born till right before you die. It is a sport that equalizes for everybody. You can do it when you're injured. It's exercise, it's buoyant, it balances everything out, but it's also life and death. It's also a very serious activity that requires a lot of, I just remember, even then with my mom growing up, it's a 24/7 job because the pool is open and it's running every day, every moment. So there's a lot going on in aquatics on a regular basis.
Yeah. And like you said, as far as a life or death, I mean, what other sports are you regularly having to save people from drowning as just, part of the daily activities?
Yep. And training teenagers to do it.
Right.
15 and 16-year-olds for those moments that are going to change their lives possibly.
Yeah. I'm learning right now about how they have radios and what type of whistles they have, and then what's the drills that they run. And we really haven't even gotten well into like the classes and the, senior aerobics and the swim competitions. It's almost like you almost have to run an emergency rescue team first.
Yeah, the amount of time, energy, and effort that it takes just to become a lifeguard, and then from there a lifeguard instructor, and how to teach people how to be lifeguards. It's a lot of time and effort. A lot of energy is put into it.
Yeah. Now, did you end up going to school for Parks and Recreation?
Yeah, I actually, my journey took me, so I went to Cal State. It was Cal State Hayward at the time. Now it's East Bay, but I went to Cal State Hayward, and I was majoring in recreation. I did not graduate at that time. Like, this was the late 90s, early 2000s. And I would say, because I grew up in recreation, I felt I'll just say it, I was pretty arrogant about it, learning. And so at the time, I didn't realize what I was getting out of that. So when I was offered a full-time job in recreation without a degree, I snapped it up. I took it right away. And that was at UC Berkeley. So that was my first full-time job as a Parks and Rec professional. Was actually working at a university.
Oh, nice. So what's the difference between working Parks and Rec for a university and working, say, with a city?
It's very focused. Obviously, it's students and teachers. So your clientele is you have a revolving door, a lot sooner than normal, especially with your staff in the city. You see people that stay pretty long. With the university, they're coming every couple of years and they're rotating out as far as staff goes. And they're a lot older. We don't hire teenagers, and then our clientele is absolutely, the professors and the staff. And then the summertime, you do some summer camps for the kiddos as well. So similar, but a little bit different.
Now, what kind of summer camp do you do? You're talking about for not the local kids, but really the students?
No, actually local kids. It actually becomes a feeder program for staff to learn and get jobs in the summertime. So those that stick around in the summertime can get positions to work at summer camp. We'll open a full-on public summer camp. It's called the Blue Camp up at Golden Bear. And it was an amazing program that offered swimming, archery, skateboarding camp, all the same things that we offer, UC Berkeley offers.
So then what was your first position in an actual city?
City of Newark, which was the Silliman Family Aquatic Center. I was hired as a coordinator. It's an indoor water park. It was a one-stop shop back in 2004. It was a pretty cool idea. When I was hired, I think it was still a little bit of a concrete slab. So opportunity was to build something from the ground up with people. Nothing had been done before. There was no programming, no budget. We had to build it from the beginning.
Nice. So you got to learn all the construction side. And did you get to work with any contractors or,
Yeah, I mean, the plan was already laid out before I was hired. But it was an opportunity to see as it was going in. There was things where I was like, oh, we're going to go with this tile. Okay. All right. And so I got to learn. It was on the programming side and the budget side to build something from scratch. It's really, it's a rare opportunity for a rec professional to do that. So we got to build it from the very beginning as to how we how we thought things were going to go. So thinking back to some of the skills that you've acquired over the years, what were some of the skills you noticed that you really needed to develop in yourself in those early days that you kind of still use to today? Yeah, I think one of the ones that are super important is the customer service side of things. The being able to handle any level of customer service, both internal and external. You have to have this really high understanding of people and their emotions. You have to have a certain level of patience. You have to understand that no matter what, it's not personal. And I learned that early on. I was answering the phone when I was like 9 years old.
Oh, no way.
So, yeah. And so I learned customer service pretty quickly, that a smile goes a long way.
Yeah.
And understanding of what people are going through, and that whole idea of walking a mile in someone else's shoes is really what is important to us when we're trying to build community with the people that we see every day.
All right. So how does a 9-year-old answer the phone? That's almost like a cheat code, because when a young person answers the phone, you really don't expect them to be able to solve the problems like a director does. But you're just, let me get you the information or get you in touch with the right people. What was those early phone calls like?
Well, it was basically like that. That's what I was taught by my mom is, you answer the phone very professionally. Hey, Replunge, how can I help you? And then, and then they ask you the question and you hand it off to the next person. But I was so confident in what I was able to do. I wanted to answer the phone. I wanted to take the money. I wanted to help people at the front desk. I had a little stool and I would stand up on the stool and I would help people.
Oh, I love that. That's where that confidence comes from.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I've been answering the phones for decades now.
Yep.
All right. So then tell me about the progression of your career. What did you do after that?
Yeah. So unfortunately, when I worked for the city, it was an amazing 6 years. And it was around 2008. We had that recession that happened. And then by 2010, they were unfortunately laying off a lot of staff. And so I was one of those people that got laid off. And at the time I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And so I happened to be on NRPA job board. I was like, you know what, this is an opportunity. I could go anywhere. I had no ties. Let's see what's out there. And I saw a job opening with Royal Caribbean International. And if you're familiar, that's a cruise line.
Yeah.
And I wasn't expecting that. I was not expecting that to be on the NRPA job board. So I applied. I applied and they called me almost immediately. I think it was like a couple of days after that. And they said, they literally told me we've never advertised on NRPA, but we were looking for someone special. So that's why we put it on there for the first time. And so I did a little bit of a phone interview. And then they said, have you ever been on a cruise before? And I said, actually, I've never been on a cruise before. And so they said, well, let's fly you out. Let's fly you to Miami. Let's fly you to go on a cruise. You're going to cruise for a couple of days, and then you're going to come back to the headquarters and have an interview.
Man, that's a heck of a job interview.
It was so cool. I was hooked immediately.
Yeah. And how long did you do that for?
About 3 years, on several different cruise lines at the time, the largest in the world, the Oasis of the Seas, the Allure of the Seas. I was docked out of mostly Florida, the majority of my time with them. But then I did have an amazing run where I got to go down to South America. I was out of Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, got to go to Europe for a while where we got to go to Portugal every day and Spain and once a week. Right. So it was a job of a lifetime kind of situation.
Oh my goodness. There's one thing I don't think I guess you don't kind of think about how an accountant can have a job at Parks and Rec, but a lot of the Parks and Rec departments need accountants. And you wouldn't think that's a Parks and Rec job. But then on the other side, you've got Parks and Rec professionals that can go work at a cruise line and apply a lot of that same skill set. What was kind of some of the overlap stuff that you learned in Parks and Rec that you used when you were working with Carnival?
Well, the cool thing about the ships is they're meant to be this one-stop shop for families. And so there's a youth area. They hire staff to be with children all day so the parents can go and enjoy and relax. My position specifically was an open deck manager. So I was responsible for everything happening on the open decks, as well as all the sports. So there was a flow rider, so a surf machine. There was a zip line. There was a rock wall. There was basketball. We ran sports programs, dodgeball tournaments, those types of things. And also lots of pools, making sure everyone was safe, having a good time. Do you have your drink? Let me get you your drink for you. Just the whole So the overlaps programming wise, not a lot different. It was a work hard, long day kind of schedule, which sometimes happens for us on the land as well.
Yeah.
But the overlap again goes back to that theme of customer service. And if I thought my customer service skills were good before, this environment forced me to have really great customer service skills, where they had to do training with staff. Because we're talking about on the Oasis of the Seas at the time, there was like maybe 6,500 people on board, and 2,000 of them are crew members. And of those 2,000, I was one of 50 Americans. And so, you have staff coming from all cultures and all countries, and then how do you get everybody on the same page? Like, how do you get everybody to understand that this is our goal? This is what we want to have happen, and the experience we want people to have when they come here.
Oh, I love that. And so what were do you remember one of the customer service tricks or skills that you picked up that was even above and beyond what you had learned in Parks and Rec?
Yeah. And actually we ended up, my friend and I, we ended up presenting on it at conference a couple of times. It was how they used a gold standard. So it was this acronym that people could use to learn. And that's the thing. That's when you're trying to teach people customer service. It's a really hard, soft skill to teach people. Yes, smile. Yes, do this. And so the gold standard for them was G, greet and smile. O, own the problem. L, look the part, and D, deliver the wow. I mean, come on.
Wow.
I
love that.
Yeah, it's perfect. And then it comes with that set of information, greet and smile. We had to greet and smile within, 10 feet of seeing a guest, so as soon as you see them, the smile is on, good morning, hello, hi. I would come home from vacation and I would be doing it in the grocery store.
Ah,
Hello, hi, how's it going? Eye contact, eye contact.
right.
Um, my favorite that I like to use even beyond is own the problem, because that's
Yes.
our staff and our training our staff. Owning the problem is a little bit of a foreign concept, and so giving them an opportunity to see what that means, that there's a meaning behind it. One of the things we did with the sessions we would do is we would give people the opportunity to create your own acronym, bring it back to your teams, make it a team building activity that helps them buy in to the concept of customer service. And this is what we want, and this is how we want you to act. Right.
Oh yeah, I love that. And then what was L?
Look the part. Got it. Name tag always has to be on the left, the right side, and you have to have your shirt tucked in and clean and pressed, and shoes are white, and look the part.
Right. And then deliver the wow. That's another great one.
Oh yeah. Deliver the wow. The idea is that when they walk off that ship, they go, wow, that was epic. And one of my favorite stories from ships and delivering the wow is I checked in with this couple who are on the pool deck, and how's your trip going? Are you having fun? And she's like, oh, it's been great, but we haven't had any towel animals. And I was like, what do you mean you haven't had any towel animals? Well, I hear everybody else is getting towel animals in their room, and we haven't gotten any. And so I beep, boop, boop. Hello, housekeeping. Can we get these people some towel animals? And I saw them the next day, and they filled their room with towel animals.
What is a towel animal?
If you've ever been on a cruise, it's where they take the towels, like the bath towels, and they shape them into animals. It could be a monkey, an elephant, a snake. I mean, they get creative. It's pretty cool. You should look it up. There's some pretty cool creative towel animals out there. But yeah, that was the thing. That was the thing. And so next day they're just like, thank you so much. That just made my wife's day, and it was so cool. Simple phone call, make the difference. And that's, I know it's simple. It's like a towel animal, but it's what we do every day anyway. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what caused the transition out of working with them and back into Parks and Rec?
No, you meet someone, and you realize that you don't want to be on the water anymore. You want to come back to land. And so I moved back home and got married and started back in Parks and Recreation.
And so what was your first job back in Parks and Rec?
Actually, I will say my first actual job was with a private gym. A friend of mine was looking for someone, and I was like, oh, I'll pop over and help you guys out. It was in San Francisco, really nice high-end gym. And I realized 6 months in, private was not my space. It was not the goals were to make money. And I'm not saying that city municipalities and Parks and Recreation aren't trying to make money and revenue. We all have those goals, but this was at the other end of the extreme. And I quickly realized, I only lasted like 6 months, where I was like, this is not my jam. I want to offer scholarships. I want to offer opportunities to kiddos who have never played tennis before, or swim or took some lessons. And that was not something that they were interested in doing. So I happened to, my mom was actually being contracted with another city of Piedmont, to help them with their pool. And so I ended up going in to help her. They offered a full-time job. I ended up working with the city of Piedmont pretty quickly after that private job.
And how long were you with them?
About 3 years with them, pools, as well as, and it's always like aquatics right? Can't get away from aquatics ever. Aquatics and it was middle school sports in Piedmont, and some special events, a triathlon and some parades. So I had a great time with them, and did 3 years. And then that was around the time that I realized that in that moment, I was never going to continue to move up the ladder until I finished my degree.
Oh,
And so I had a wonderful director there who sat me down and said, "You're good. You're really, really good. And you could probably run the show one day, but if you don't go get this degree, they're never going to give it to you."
yeah. And so you went back, you find yourself back in school then.
Yep. I found myself working full time and getting my bachelor's degree. And so with the help of my family and, sort of my husband, and I was able to, put my head down and get it done. And in 2018, which was really not that long ago,
Mhm.
I finally got my bachelor's in recreation. So
Oh,
a
nice.
a little bit of a tale of, don't give up on it. You think you don't need it, but you actually do. And I ended up learning a lot. By finishing it out.
And so, and was that your last position before you got to where you are today in Emeryville?
No, actually, I was in Livermore Area Recreation and Park District for a little while. I did move up to Sacramento for a bit right before COVID. And then COVID hit, and that's when things changed a little bit. I got a phone call from a friend here in Emeryville who was leaving, and he said, "Hey, I know you're not working right now. Can you come down and help out Emeryville? We're opening up the pool, COVID." And so I came down, and I was brought on as a contractor. And then I realized this is all I want to do. I can't not do parks and recreation. So I ended up, applying for a job here, and I was actually commuting. That's how much I love the city. I was commuting from Sacramento every day.
Wow.
On the train, 2 hours, 5 days a week, each way. And then finally, and then I got an opportunity opened up, right? It's all about timing too. And the director moved up. And so I applied and I got the position here as the director. And so then we moved closer.
Fantastic. Wow. All right. So we flew past the halfway point. We're going to take a little short commercial break to thank our sponsors for today. We have two great sponsors, Outdoor Link and the National Academy of Athletics. And these companies have been with us really since the beginning. So I really appreciate them supporting the vision that we had to create a media company for this industry. Outdoor Link is a company, if you have a smart home that your entire house is controlled by your cell phone, imagine if you had a whole city and all the infrastructure was tied in to where you could control it from a computer. So being able to turn on your splash pads off and on, your parking lot lights, your baseball field lights, bathroom door locks. And so they help cities become smart cities and interconnected. So it's kind of like having the Internet of Things where all your things are connected to the internet. And they've been doing this nationwide for quite a while now. It's a really talented team there. So big shout out to Dave Ramirez. And they also actually help us to create Smart Parks Forward show, which is coming on right after this show. And then our next sponsor is the National Academy of Athletics. If you've ever wanted to make a living working with Parks and Rec departments, doing their programming and doing summer camps or doing sports that the community wants, but they just don't have the team to do maybe a flag football team or lacrosse or something, they can help you do that. And then they also have a franchise model where if you'd like to maybe make it a business of yourself and help serve the Parks and Rec community that they're working with, big shout out to Aaron Locke. So Jovi, why don't you go ahead and play those two promos, and when we come right back, we'll finish up our conversation with Rebecca.
In today's parks and recreation industry, communication, safety, and efficiency go hand in hand. That's where Outdoor Link comes in, delivering smart technology that empowers city departments and community planners to do more, smarter. Outdoor Link's platform connects and automates everything that keeps your parks running smoothly, from lighting and locks to signage, water features, Wi-Fi, and digital advertising. Control and schedule park lights for safety and energy savings. Remotely manage facility access. Coordinate fountains and splash pads. Provide public connectivity. All from one simple, unified platform, giving you real-time control, data, and cost efficiency. For parks and recreation agencies, that means safer spaces, smarter resource use, faster responses, and stronger community engagement. And behind every great park story is great infrastructure. That's why Outdoor Link proudly supports DPRS Media Company, helping the daily Parks and Rec show amplify the voices of professionals shaping our communities every day. Outdoor Link, smart, connected solutions for parks, recreation, and beyond.
They say it's just rec. Just rec, where kids learn to try again. Just rec, where confidence begins. Where teamwork, effort, and fun matter more than trophies. It's not about perfection. It's about participation. It's not just rec. It's where kids learn to love the game and themselves. It's just rec until they learn teamwork for life. It's just rec, but it's everything to them. It's more than rec. It's a movement. It's just rec until you realize it's shaping the next generation. Together, we're not just running programs. We're building a culture of confidence, connection, and community. Join us.
All right. So one thing I wrote down is you're big on emotional intelligence. So can you explain what emotional intelligence is? We'll just start there.
Okay, great. It's recognizing emotional intelligence is navigating social complexities, building stronger relationships. It's fostering more empathetic and supportive environments. It is there's 5 pillars of emotional intelligence. And those are the 5 things that we work on with our staff to make sure that they're ready. And that goes back to that customer service piece of it too. The self-awareness, empathy, motivation, self-regulation, and social skills.
Now, I wonder why this isn't more of and maybe it is coming through university and education, because it seems like such a critical part of learning to communicate, customer service, working with people, building a team. And it seems like you don't ever discover what that is till you're out of school and working.
Yeah, it's experience. I do wish university. It's been a while since I've been there, but I imagine there is some level of personality quizzes and the emotional intelligence quizzes that you can get online. But I see it as important into our jobs is to help guide our teams to understand where they land on the scale, right? We did this last summer with our staff where we gave them a simple quiz and to see where they're high, where they highly marked with emotional intelligence and the things that they needed to work on. And then we worked on things like, strategies to help grow those things. It's not easy. It seems a simple idea, right? But it's not. Fostering conversations and practical steps on how to apply emotional intelligence is what I think is our responsibility as my team, the supervisors, to help their staff be prepared.
Yeah. It's almost like being a student of self-awareness, just understanding your environment around you, especially, there's always an opportunity to have someone in your community that's freaking out or has a big problem. And if you're not aware of your own emotional intelligence, you can get kind of wrapped into that. And it really is more of a practice, I would think.
Yeah, it's helping them understand, identifying a feeling, like identifying where it's coming from, and understand the message that they're trying to give out. That if you don't see yourself, you can't understand your impact on others. So part of that's why emotional intelligence, that's why the first thing is really about self-awareness, because we need to help guide them to understand their own emotions, triggers, and reactions. And be honest with themselves in order to be able to give back to someone else.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it was just about kind of being a witness of my own emotions as they kind of take off rather than,
Yep.
identifying myself with that. I'm just like, yep, there goes uh, my heart just running off a cliff.
Yeah, it's we talk about taking a pause,
Mhm.
and help them set those realistic goals when dealing with people. And again, Parks and Recreation, it's the people business. And if you don't like people, and I mean, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Is really the question. And so by having these conversations at a high level with our teens and our young adults, we hope we're setting them up for success
Yeah.
and cultivating that positive balance for both their work and their life.
Yeah. For me, and I don't know if this counts, but the more I start to get into yoga, I recently gotten that practice, and they teach a lot about mindfulness and staying centered. And it reminds me when I was working hard on emotional intelligence, I'm like, this is very similar.
Yeah, I don't do yoga myself. I think I tried it once and I literally like fell over in the middle of a large room. Like it
Me
was some
too.
kind of move and it was in a giant gym and I fell over and I promptly got up and walked away. I was like, nope.
Welcome to the club. We're all falling over here.
Oh yeah, well, maybe one day I hope to get back into it, maybe in my living room, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um, yep,
We have
yeah, go ahead.
our instructors are very gentle with us. They're like, if you're falling over, you're doing it right.
Oh, okay, well, maybe I should come take your class because everyone
Well,
turns and looks.
yeah, they do this hot yoga. So then you're like sweating and dying from the heat. It makes it even worse. So now you're really having to focus on staying, mindful and centered because it is stressful on the body.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I bet it puts that's interesting. Maybe it's something we're actually talking about staff training coming up for June, and we try and put these themes, and self-care is one of those themes that we
Mhm.
make it a constant thing. And we did do meditation last year, so
Oh,
you're
nice.
giving me an idea. Maybe we need to consider some kind of yoga.
Yeah, do a yoga class. It's and just when you think that, well, yeah, the only reason she can do that because she's 20, and then you look to your left of you, and there's like this 70-year-old lady doing the same thing. I'm like, oh shoot, there goes my excuse.
Exactly.
Um, all right, so I wrote something down here, developing the next wave, but that's all I have on that. What is
Oh,
that?
I think I think I was talking about like hiring for culture.
Mm,
Hiring people. I mean, we talk about soft skills and we talk about, I think we all do this now where it's either, it's we're going to hire everybody and then hopefully, and then we'll kind of weed out what's working if we need people, right? But really the goal is what is our mission? What is our vision?
mm,
And that is how we should be hiring people, and we should be looking to bring those people in. I can teach pretty much anyone how to swim. I can teach anyone to be a lifeguard. Those are all skills that you can help someone get to. But if they don't embody our values,
yeah.
I can't teach that. That's a very hard thing to teach, and we try through the customer service training and the emotional intelligence training that we do with staff, empathy, putting yourself in people's shoes, actively listening, and all of those things. But in the end, they have to have it inside, and you
Mm,
have to ask those questions that help you and determine whether that person is the right fit for your
mm.
culture.
This is a good segue into my next question as
Mhm.
far as training and leadership.
Mhm.
It seems like you put a lot of effort into training your staff and giving them a lot of opportunity to build themselves. So, where did you get that from? Is that something you just kind of developed over the years, or do you follow any type of playbook?
That's my mom. Watching, you grow up, you watch her manage, 200 lifeguards. Like she had to manage 200 lifeguards in the summertime, and they would do these 3-day trainings, and it was hands on and it was raw, and it was let's get down and dirty. Let's make sure we're ready for summer. And it was like this hype up and ready to go. And let's go make make some community happen. Let's go save some lives. Let's have a great time and make memories, right? Like that's important. That was so important to her. And and also I think what was important was what really impacted me was when staff would show up at our front door. She made such an impact on people's lives, and that she was sometimes the first phone call when they were in trouble too.
Wow.
And that says something about the person's character and who they are. And so I knew again pretty early on that that's the person I wanted to be. I wanted to be that person in that safe space for staff.
Yeah, that reminds me of a conversation I had this weekend. It was kind of a fun conversation. If you had to bury a body, who would you call? Your first phone call.
I have my list.
A short list.
Yep.
And you build those relationships in Parks and Rec where like these are your ride or dies. Like when you're in a crisis moment, these are the people you kind of lean on.
Oh yeah, I can't. Another theme about just Parks and Recreation is networking, and how important it is that you fill your circle, you fill your cup with like these fantastic humans that are doing the same thing you're doing every day, are the people that you can pick up the phone and be like, I'm really frustrated about this, or I have this problem. I have a staff problem. Can you talk it through with me? I am very, very lucky. I have a circle of friends that are, rec friends are the best friends. One of my best friends is we met each other in 1993 and realized that we were both managing pools, and we were like, we're each other's person. So we've actually known each other for that long and have come up in our careers together, and another couple of wonderful, strong women in the industry. And so I'm very lucky, and I encourage everybody to go out and find that circle of people that you can just call.
Oh yeah. Yeah. This industry's full of them. They're definitely full of quality people you can lean on.
Oh yeah. Yep. They will drop and do anything for you. We sit on panels for each other, when we're trying to, interview people. And it's such a great support system, Yeah.
All right. So let's dig into your why. Why do you continue to dedicate your life to Parks and Rec? And then how is it fulfilling to you?
I wasn't just raised by Parks and Recreation. I was raised to build community. It is the impact in the building of memories is my why. It's the last Friday we had the after school talent show, and I got to be a guest judge for the kiddos, and I was up there and I was watching kids put themselves out there that they would have never have done that, like singing a song. It was first time on stage, sitting there very quietly and singing, but you see the kid making that happen. And then you look to your right and you see the recreation leader being like, yeah, smile, you got this, go, go, go. And that's the why. That's the circle, right? That's the connection. It's not just the community that we're building for those kiddos. It's what we're building for the staff. And, I've got one of my staff who just recently, they're currently in the master's program because of this job. And so, that's, I know it's not for everybody. And if I can make them all love Parks and Recreation for a career, I would do it. But, it takes a real special person to want to do this for a career. And
you're giving me a t-shirt idea. I think you said something that says, this is probably your mom. Let's go make community happen. I like,
let's go make community happen. Yeah. I could totally hear her saying that. So,
All right. So then let's dig into this Wreck Yourself podcast. Where did that idea come from, and how far are y'all on that journey?
Well, so we're still aspiring. And it's an idea that Trisha Mullen and I had a little while ago. And, we were just kind of mulling around the idea of, podcasting is one thing. You're in a studio, you're talking, you're doing your thing, but, it's kind of like the, what was it? in my mind, I was thinking of like Bridget Jones's Diary when she's out there, like actually doing the action, like they're videoing and they're recording her doing all these crazy things in the first movie. And that's kind of the idea where we were wanting to not only like go and experience recreation. It's one thing to talk about it, but to go out and experience it is a whole nother thing. And then talk about two crazy chicks going out and trying to do Zumba or water aerobics or attend an event. But on the other side of that, uplifting our communities around us, uplifting them by giving them an opportunity to share what they're doing, promote a class, hey, we have Zumba here on Tuesdays over here at the city, and then in addition to behind the scenes look at how we make it happen. So, we recently did kind of played around with it. Thank you, Craig. Got like basic stuff because we were like, where do you start with this? And then you were like, just listen, just get your iPhone out and do it. And so we got little microphones, and I had an event this last weekend where we brought SF Opera, did La Boheme in the park for the first time ever in our city. Cool event, by the way, bringing La Boheme to a community who wouldn't normally get to go see an opera like that. Pretty awesome. And so we mic'd up, and we started interviewing my staff who, what did it take to put this on? What are all the actions steps you had to take to make this happen, from contract to the organization, to PD, to fire, all the things that it takes to make these things happen in the moment. So we're not sure how that turned out yet. We're gonna sit back and kind of look at it. And I know that Trisha also did some work this past weekend at one of her events, interviewing the organizers and some committee members as well. And so I think that's kind of the idea where it's coming from. How do we take the conversation out into the field? How do we go into the park and show what we're talking about and the action and how we're making it happen?
Yeah, and I think it's so important, and I don't know, it's such a great concept, but I don't know why Parks and Rec professionals don't sit on the user side more often and just attend your events, go to your special events, but just as an attendee, not as a worker, just see what your people see.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It is. I think that I was talking to you not long ago about about the difference between us and Disney, and there is really no difference. That the stories that shape our service is what's important, and we are the worst. I've heard this on other podcasts with people with you. We're such the worst storytellers, but that's because we're so busy and we're so out. Busy making it happen that we forget to stop. And I am the biggest, I'll share this really quick. It was 2 years ago, a harvest festival we put on. And I was like, I did not take one picture. And I'm texting all my staff. Did you take pictures? Did you take pictures? And it was like maybe 4. I was like, what are we doing here? Why did we not go with this? And I think, we're already creating these lasting memories with this magic, and places like Disney, they do such a great job of telling these stories that, I think that's that concept of the wreck yourself, experience it, see the curtain, look behind the curtain with the Great Oz, and this is what we're doing, because we shouldn't have to reinvent the wheel too. That's the other part about networking. Is that we share our ideas, because it's okay that I'm doing the same event for my community that you're doing in your city right next door. That's okay. And work smarter, not harder.
Right. Well, I kind of see, using the analogy of Disney, it's like Parks and Rec professionals build the great roller coaster, but then they never ride on it. They never see, well, this is what the experience is like. And I think it equips you so much more to go back into working on the community and building the community when you have that experience.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, because here right now we're talking about doing a community survey, because it's what does the community really want, but do we really want to put out a survey monkey or a 4-question survey about what people want? Are we really going to get to to know what they want. You're right. We should probably be going into the classes and to the programs and talking to people, and by experiencing and doing the chair yoga at the senior center with them, you're going to hear about it. They're going to sit down and they're going to be like, well, this is what I think should be happening.
Right.
And so that's a really great concept of getting out there and experiencing our own programs, finding room on our calendar, and I'm going to go take this class, and I'm not going to be in a meeting today. You're right. It's really important to go out and experience. And I think that's what our idea is with Wreck Yourself is coming from.
Yeah. And if you really want good community engagement and understand what the community wants and hear their voice, it's a small section of your users that are willing to take the survey or show up at a council meeting. There's a lot of people that are very quietly using your park system and using your programming that are never going to fill out a survey and stuff. So that's really a way where you can go talk to them in person.
Yeah, I when I did a session on customer service, I think it was like 4% of you only hear 4% of your dissatisfied customers. You only hit 4%. That's little. For a class of like 20 people, that's one person. So that's a huge statistic. To if you understand it, then you might be able to find the key to finding out what people really want.
Right. Okay, so I wanted you to help me pitch the industry a little bit. So imagine if you're standing in front of a group of undecided college kids that don't know what they want to do with their life. What would be your testimony to them?
Leadership in leadership in recreation. It isn't about control. It's about connection. Creating memories. In fact, it's up on my board because we were vision planning not too long ago with my team, and the one they came up with was creating a destination and place of belonging where memories are made generation by generation.
Oh, I love that.
That was my team. I didn't even have a word in there. Letting them go and create that is exactly the thing I want to tell all of these up and coming recreation professionals. No place can you make such a huge impact. And I'm saying that because I'm biased. There's plenty of professions out there that are absolutely impactful in their own right, but we are impacting communities from the moment they're born to their seniors. And it's very rare that you have that opportunity and to make that difference in people's lives.
All right. So as we kind of come to the end of the show, tell us about your involvement in CPRS or NRPA. Have you been involved active throughout the years?
Yeah, I love CPRS. I'm so bummed I missed the conference this last year. I heard you were a keynote at the admin section.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, I was a student rep for District 3, D3, Big 3. And back in the 90s, like when I first went to college for it, and I got hooked into it. And I actually served on our District 3 board, which is our counties, Alameda and Contra Costa County here in California. And actually was the president of the Aquatics section. I did the series for Aquatics. I helped rewrite their bylaws, and I've been involved at the conference level as a speaker. And myself and my partner in crime, Trisha, we actually helped put on the opening session a couple of years ago, a couple of times, and that was so much fun. And it's always it is so CPRS is so important to the development of this industry. It helps us take a break, step out of our roles, and really see what's happening out there, hear from other people, connect, network, have those people at our backs to help guide and push us to do better things for our community.
Fantastic. All right. So we have a little tradition coming towards the end of the show. I've actually got you can pick one of two questions.
Okay.
So one of my previous guests said, you have a favorite team for the NFL draft and how did they do? Or if you have a favorite World Cup team that's coming up with the World Cup here in the USA. And if that doesn't work, then I have a question for you for Beatrice. Do you happen to follow NFL or World Cup teams?
Oh yeah. I was born and raised a Raiders, Oakland Raiders from the 70s. I have a picture of my grandfather and I at a Raiders game when I was little, like a baby. I'm in a little Raiders hat. Yeah. So us getting the #1 overall pick was huge. Got Fernando. Let's go. I love the Sunday NFL ticket and the red zone. I grew up, my brother played football in high school and college. So it was born and raised when my parents were actually season ticket holders for the 49ers for years. So yeah, big football fan, not a huge on the stats or anything, but I just like watching the game. It's pretty.
Yeah. Fantastic. All right. So
Yeah.
what question would you like to leave for my next guest?
Ooh, that's a good one. Let's see. What movie has made an impact on your life and why?
Ooh, that's a fun one. What movie
Yeah.
has made an impact on your life and why? I'm curious which movie comes to mind for you.
I think there's a lot, but I would say my favorite is Ratatouille.
Oh, my favorite.
Yeah.
I love Ratatouille. I've seen it 100 times.
Oh, thousands of times. Actually went to see it they did it at the San Francisco Symphony where they played the movie in the background and then the symphony played the music. I took my parents to that and the whole idea of anyone can cook. It's that whole life kind of theme. Anyone can cook. Anyone can do anything if you put your heart into it and you believe in yourself.
Oh yeah, that's such a great movie, and I like how you really get a sense for Paris and French cuisine and stuff like that. They did a great job.
Yeah. Well, I will be there in 14 days.
No way, you're going to Paris?
Yeah, I'm going to Paris. My ride or die, my BFF, Robin and I are doing a girls trip for 2 weeks to Paris, Loire Valley, Saint-Emilion, and Bordeaux. So,
oh wow,
trip of a lifetime.
You're gonna have to send me some pictures. I've
of course.
There. It's your first time going, or?
We did a couple of days on my honeymoon in Paris, and that's it. So this will be the first time like kind of traveling outside.
Oh my gosh, I wish I could go stay there for like 6 months or a year because it's so hard to take in just a short period.
Yeah, I'm afraid I won't come back either. So,
right.
Sorry to my husband. I'm going to be having you and the dog shipped over.
That's it. Rebecca, thank you so much for coming on the show today, and let me know what y'all want to do as far as the Wreck Yourself. We'd love to help y'all produce that and try to get y'all as part of our regularly scheduled program. I think it's such a great concept, and it sounds like y'all are just going to have a lot of fun doing it, and we'd love to help y'all out.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Thank you, Craig.
Have a great rest of your week. Thank you.
You too. All right. Okay. Bye.
All right. Another great show. Got the week kicked off here. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for coming on the show, and good luck to the podcast and everything. Hopefully we can help y'all produce that and be part of the team. And I really love the conversation around all the emotional intelligence and the training and developing yourself. That really is such a great part of Parks and Recreation, is that the industry is so focused on lifting people up, not just in the community, but on the staff, at the staff level. And there's endless opportunities to grow your skill set and your connection. And as far as connection goes, this industry is really great about networking. And so if you're new to Parks and Rec, get on that bandwagon as soon as possible, connecting yourself at your local state convention or NRPA, online, with our community here with the Daily Parks and Rec show. There's a ton of great people that have all been impacted by a mentor in their life, and they're always looking for ways to give back what was given to them. So definitely jump on that. All right, so hang tight for a little bit. We've got Dave's show coming up here in just about another 25 minutes. This is a second and fourth Monday of every month. Smart Parks Forward, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll see y'all here in a bit. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.
In the parks and recreation industry, attention is limited, but influence is everything. Every day, thousands of parks and recreation professionals make critical decisions. decisions on infrastructure, programs, technology, and vendors. The question is your brand part of that conversation? DPRS Media Network was built to answer that question. We are a dedicated media ecosystem focused exclusively on the parks and recreation industry in the United States. Through a network of daily and weekly shows, we inform, connect, and influence this audience. Our distribution spans multiple platforms: LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, plus email campaigns, newsletters, podcasts, and live event coverage. This is not a single-channel strategy. It is a multi-platform media engine. Today, our network reaches over 214,000 connections, including 51,000 on LinkedIn, 64,000 on Facebook, nearly 40,000 email subscribers, and thousands more across podcast and social platforms. While some audiences overlap, our true value is not just reach, it is relevance. We speak directly to parks and recreation directors, program managers, and industry leaders, an audience that is highly targeted and actively engaged. Through DPRS Media Network, your brand integrates seamlessly into this ecosystem. Through sponsored show segments, targeted advertisement placements, podcast features, and host-read promotions, even custom branded content. Not as interruptions, but as part of the conversation. And we don't just operate online. We attend over 15 major parks and recreation conventions each year, reaching more than 24,000 professionals in person. Through live shows, interviews, and on-site media coverage, we position our partners at the center of the industry. Every piece of content we produce is amplified across our entire network. Multiple shows, multiple hosts, multiple platforms. Your message doesn't appear once, it multiplies. This is more than advertising. It is strategic positioning within a trusted media network built specifically for the parks and recreation industry. If your goal is to reach decision makers, build credibility, and stay top of mind, then it's time to partner with DPRS Media Network. Apply for partnership or sponsorship today. Let's position your brand where the industry is already paying attention.
Are you a vendor, brand, or service provider ready to connect with the heartbeat of local communities? At DPRS Media Co., we tell the stories shaping parks and recreation across America. Through podcasts, live streams, videos, and newsletters, we reach frontline leaders, city directors, and decision makers every single week. From youth sports and facilities to programming and policy, our audience is your audience. Sponsoring or partnering with DPRS Media Co. puts your brand in front of the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. Launching a new product, growing your presence in public spaces, targeting cities, counties, or departments, DPRS is your trusted media partner. Whether you're in software, turf, aquatics, robotics, smart cities, or special events, partnering with DPRS puts your brand in the story. With commercials, interviews, social campaigns, newsletters, and live shows, we're your media team. Partner with us and grow your impact in the $200 billion parks and rec industry. DPRS Media Co. Stories that move parks and rec forward. Your audience is here. Let's meet them.